Be grateful for the kindly friends that walk along your way. Be grateful for the skies of blue that smile from day to day. Be grateful for the health you own and the work you find to do. Around about you, there are lots of men who are less fortunate than you. Gratitude is the title of this speech, and I believe that my experiences here in Toastmaster will exemplify that. So how did I get here in Toastmasters? Well, it's a long story. I remember I had two events in my life that made me become a Toastmaster. The first, I was out of college, just graduated from UCLA. I was high and mighty, I thought I had a really good degree, and couldn't get a job. It took me a long time to get a job, and I had to work my way in working in a small school as an administrative assistant. And I was given lots of work and very low pay. But it was okay. I was fine with it. I was going to work my way up. But that's not how the system went. When I was there, the boss was not a good boss. He wasn't a good leader. He was very exploitive, treated his employees with disrespect, and he demanded respect in return. And I soon left that job as soon as I found something better. But I saw that years later, that business did not survive. So it taught me a lesson that leadership is a very important trait if you want to have any enterprise that's successful. So I took a mental note of that, and I kept it along the way. The second event was I was in law school, and I was doing a presentation about the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau program that's pretty long and complicated. And I had notes, and I prepared for it for a month or so, and I was ready to go. I was going to tell them about how the law was passed and how it's working, and I was making a good round. I was giving a good presentation. I wore a suit. I looked professional. Midway between the sentence of Obama passing the law, I stumbled, and I froze, and all eyes were looking at me, and I couldn't say another word. I literally was paralyzed. And I looked away, and I walked out of the room, and I couldn't finish the speech. And my professor felt very sorry for me and said, "Would you like to finish the speech?" And I literally couldn't finish the speech. I was so terrified. And she gave me a passing grade. She could have failed me because she knew that I wasn't a very good public speaker. But the faces of my fellow classmates told a story that really made me become a Toastmaster, is that they thought less of me after that. Not in a deprecative way, but in a way that was, wow, you're not as good as I thought you were. And I took note of that public speaking, presentation skills are ways in which people can assess your abilities. And if you can assess it and speak in a proper manner, then they respect you a lot more. So it made me realize that public speaking has to be a part of my repertoire. So I said I wanted to do two things, public speaking and leadership skills. Well, I just had to figure out how to do that. So for years, a couple years afterwards, I was trying to figure out how to do it. I ran into Toastmasters, and I said, okay, this can be the club for me. But I stumbled, work, obligations kept me away. But last year, I had the courage, and I became a Toastmaster. And I came in expecting that I was a terrible speaker and I had very little leadership abilities because I've never done it before. But I found that I was a decent speaker. I found that my first speech that I spent a whole week preparing, I was given a round of applause. And it ameliorated the doubt and the fears that I had of myself. And it built confidence to move forward. And I did more and more speeches, and I got better and better and better. And then soon along the way, we had elections, and I was elected Vice President of Education. And then unfortunate circumstances arose to where I had to become president. And I remember telling Jenny that I didn't feel qualified to be president. And Jenny said, "Don't worry, you got Elliot and you got Tommy to help you." And boy, I needed their help. But along the way, I found that I had decent leadership skills, that I was underrating myself, that I actually was thinking low of myself. But still, I had challenges. We did well in the beginning. We got Distinguished Club status in October, And then we became presidents distinguished by February of this year. However, there are headwinds, internal disputes between certain people, myself not being able to meet to that challenge appropriately, stymied for me being a great leader. And the doubt came in, saying, maybe I'm not a leader. Maybe I'm wasting my time. They ought to find a better leader than me. But I talked to my members and they told me to keep going. And before you know it, this is the end of the year, we're in a very good place. Very good place. So what I've learned about this whole experience is you have to have gratitude. And what do I mean by that? I'm grateful for the good moments that I've had in growing and developing, but I'm even more grateful for the trials and tribulations that I had to face in coming to this moment. I had to face vitriol, vociferous comments that noted my incompetence as a leader and a speaker, but it made me the person I am today. I wouldn't be where I am without my classmates jeering at me for stumbling on a speech, without my boss treating me like I was a zero. I had to use those moments to learn how to be a better speaker and a better leader. And for that, I'm eternally grateful to be a Toastmaster, but not only that, to be the president of this club, to grow it to the extent that we have. And I know that Joy and the new administration will do an even better job than we've done here. And thank you so much for the opportunity.